What is up, everybody? I did put out a post saying that there would be no live show tonight. However, I'm a glutton for punishment. The film came out, it's past midnight, and I just watched a very good Baltimore Ravens team live with my son beat the brakes off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I said, you know what? After watching such a great performance from my son's team and seeing how happy he is, why don't I go drown my sorrows and watch the film of yesterday's pathetic performance from the San Francisco 49ers? Because that's just what I do around here. But before we hit the intro and then get into the film review, I do want to start by saying I apologize to Debo Samuel. I think I was a little harsh on him. Now knowing what has happened, the news broke when I was at the game or headed towards the game that he has a pneumonia or something similar to a pneumonia based off of what Kyle said. Not really sure. But I do want to say prayers out to him. I hope he gets better. I stand by what I said as far as he has become pretty unreliable, but I definitely was emotional in the moment of the loss. Went in a little too hard, probably really too hard if I'm just being real. And I own that. So apologize to Debo. And yeah, let's get into this film review. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where I'm giving my take down to the last second. Gosh, I messed that up. This is why you shouldn't do shows starting at midnight. That's probably one thing. But not really a big drinker, so all I had was water at the game. I've got that going for me. All right, let me pull up this film review. Let's see if we can get this going here, and we will break it all down. Here we go. Share screen. Entire screen. Okay. Let's get into it. I don't know how y'all feel, but I hate getting the ball to start the game. Absolutely hate it. Yeah, of course. I mean, there's no reason for him not to be happy. His Ravens looked amazing. um, that's just what they do. And they got themselves a hell of a quarterback over there. So yeah, everything's good in Ravenland. That kid, I will say this though, that kid does not, dude. He's like so intense. He reminds me so much of myself when I was his age rooting for the 49ers. He just yells and yells and yells. He gets so into it, man. It's incredible. Uh-oh. Got a little air here. Hold on. Let's try this again. Let's see what happened. What happened? All right, let's try again. Let's try again. All right. We saw the first play, so let's get into the second play, I guess. Mason, I will say this. Mason ran relatively well yesterday. Relatively well yesterday. You're talking about a Chiefs defense that really has been tough to run on. Jordan Mason did a fantastic job yesterday. Now, this one was called back because of holding. In fact, a couple of his big plays were called back from holding, but I think as the game wore on, he did a pretty dang good job. You look at some of those other numbers that some of those other Henry, I just watched Henry go crazy tonight. I don't know. He's an anomaly. 30 years old. I think Henry's like 30. Running the way that he does, that's not normal. But even him in week one got completely shut down by the Kansas City Chiefs. Bijan Robinson, who else? Kamara, a bunch of guys have gotten shut down. Mm-mm. Let's go back actually and watch this. We got good protection, but what's happening on? So he's looking left or looking right. Yeah, it's not really a lot open. This is one thing that Brock Purdy really did do. I don't know what this is. This is what happens when you have players that don't play that often have to get into the game. You know, Conley plays from time to time sparingly, but these two are way too close together. Brock's probably looking for a dig route here, which Kansas City is aware of this. But even if it was open, Conley and IU, the timing is just off between these two. But one thing I will say about Purdy is last year, this right here was almost automatic every single time. And this year, he's really, really, really decided not to go with the checkdowns for whatever reason. I would imagine it's because he just doesn't have the trust in Mason that he does in CMC, and that's fair. But it's just an observation. Who's winning that Chargers game, by the way? Out of curiosity. Oh, Cardinals won. Of course. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they win, right? Like yeah, great one. I hear you. I hear you. Look at Juice. Look at Juice getting loose. Man, a lot of news came out today, right? So obviously we know that Ayuk has significant knee damage, which is awful. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with his career? He's obviously going to play again, but you take that big of damage, uh, I mean, he may never be the same. So you've got him, and then you've got Debo with a pneumonia. Chances are he misses this next game. I mean, pneumonia's gonna last a while, or can. What the sorry. I act like I don't know what's about to happen here. But anyways, so Debo's got pneumonia. He could miss this game. Jennings has the hip injury. He could miss this game. Kittle has a foot injury. I mean, all of these guys are, even if they play, they're not going to be anywhere near 100%. Now, I know Dallas has their fair share of injuries, but not offensively. I mean, it's just getting ugly quick, quick, quick. Uh, Marco says, Jesse, if Brock looks bad against Dallas, Dallas's bad defense, do we pay him or what do we do? Do we pay him? Okay, yeah. I was putting those two together. I don't know, man. I don't know that one game is really gonna change things one way or another. You know, I put out a video earlier today that really kind of broke it down. You know, I do find it interesting that Brock Purdy, you know, Josh Allen gets killed for his turnovers and deservedly so. I mean, listen, I'm the biggest Josh Allen honk. Everybody knows that. But he turns it over. He there are times where he turns it over too much. And last season was one of those seasons. Now this year you look at him, it's like, okay, well, you've got 2 turnovers in 7 games, no interceptions, and 15 touchdowns. But Josh Allen also, for the last 3 seasons, has led the NFL in touchdowns for a quarterback. Out of all quarterbacks the last 3 seasons, he has more than anybody. So even though he turns it over a lot, he makes up for it with a ton of touchdowns. So Josh Allen in 26 games, the last 26 games, so from week 1 last year to 7 weeks this year, has 24 turnovers. It's a lot, right? 24 turnovers, 26 games. Brock Purdy has 23 and 16 less touchdowns. So it's like, a lot of jokes like, oh, he's turnover machine. Oh, Brock had a 3 interception game. Oh, looks like he had himself a little Josh Allen game. No, he had a Brock Purdy game. He had a Brock Purdy game because he turns the ball over as much and doesn't account for it or make up for it with the touchdowns. So I don't know, man. I don't think one game, Dallas, whether it's great. Here's the funny thing. Hopefully Debo plays. I could see Brock Purdy and Debo crushing it against Dallas. And everybody's gonna be like, see, told you, we're back. I hope that happens. But even if he plays bad, I don't think one game is an indictment that should change anybody's mind. Like you either think he's great and you should continue to do that, or you think he's good and probably isn't worth anywhere near 60 million, and you should continue to do that regardless of what happens versus Dallas. But I will say this, if they lose to Dallas, gosh dang it, man, this when you let it sit for too long, I don't know what the deal is. But if you lose to Dallas, your season's over. I mean, my feelings are that it's basically over anyways, but it's like over if you lose to Dallas. All right. Oops. I don't know what he saw here. Dude, what do we see pre-snap? All right, we got one high safety. I mean, it looks like you're probably in a man situation. You got a corner straight across. You got Kittle coming left to right. Boot action, which, gosh, we've been calling for this. I feel like every time we watch film, like more of that, more boot action. Give him some high-low reads. Allow him to make easy decisions and run if there's nothing open. Well, here's your boot action. I, I mean, that's just easy pickings for the safety, man. Easy pickings for Reed. Just drops right down in front of it. These are the throws. It's funny, too, because this is the throw that I highlighted a couple weeks ago where it's like the arm strength throw. You know what I mean? Far hash outside the numbers, 10 plus yards downfield. I mean, I don't care what kind of arm you have. You're not fitting it in there. There's no way. Reed's just sitting on that thing. Ugh. What? Vince Lombardi, what the hell are we doing here? I know. I know. I saw the sprained foot thing. It's just like, dude, it's constant. It's never ending, man. The injuries just are never ending. Okay, nice easy one. It's so funny because this alignment, it's like you're completely giving this play up right here. And the Chiefs seem perfectly fine to do so. I also imagine there's a little ad-libbing going on there between Brock and Ayuk. You know, you see that coverage. I'm sure that he's got an option there. He decides to break it off pretty early. I mean, maybe it's by design, but you got to feel like you see that linebacker or safety walk in. It's like, all right, let's just pick up an easy one here. Mm. I mean, they're just I mean, even the safeties, look at how close they are. They're playing tight, close to the line. I mean, that's the linebackers are not even 5 yards off, playing run all the way, man, all the way. Yeah, hopefully Tommy, hopefully he does play, man. They need him. They definitely need him. Brock was better last year because he was willing to take the underneath stuff. Now he's trying to push everything downfield and then come back underneath when it's too late and covered. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think the really where you saw that, I think it was it the Patriots game? Remember when he had two deep ones and then he threw a pick in the end zone trying to force it to Ayuk? It was like that was the best microcosm of what you're talking about, where he's just falling in love with these shots downfield. And it's cool. It's cool when you hit them for sure, but when you don't and you turn the ball over because of it, it's a bummer. He's just got to find that balance. You know what I mean? He's got to find the balance. Like I felt like last year was actually a pretty good balance of it. He would pick and choose his spots so brilliantly last year. This year it's just not the case. Yeah, maybe. May maybe. I hope that Mason can carry us. All right, what are we seeing here? Too high. Looks like man again. Okay. Conley over the top. Oh, this was the pass interference, huh? That was the pass interference. Really, probably more of a holding call, but either way, it's a penalty. That was a good call. Ugh. This plays like a staple of their offense, and they just couldn't get it. I mean, this is exactly right. This is talk about a look that Purdy's seen and just drilled 1,000 times over. Like, how many times have you seen this? Play action, linebackers suck up. You got a soft zone, and then Ayuk comes running, deep crosser. We've seen this a million times, man, a million times. But right here, you got Bolton just making a hell of a play, man. Just waiting on it. Waiting on it. Man. Let's see. It's crazy when you see it from this angle because it's like Bolton's standing square in front of him. Square in front of him. It's just weird game, man. I know, right, Steve-O? Like, isn't that's the one? That's exactly it. That's the route. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it 1,000 times. 1,000 times. All right, let's look for it. I mean, I will say this. I don't know about the heel clicks, right? But I've been talking about his footwork, it seems like every week, and just how lazy he's been at the top of his drops. You know what it reminds me of? And I hate I hate doing this, but it really does remind me of Jimmy. I remember after his 2018 season how lazy his footwork was, Jimmy's at times. And Brock's lucky this one wasn't picked too. What the hell is this? Um, but I remember how lazy his footwork was, and I just thought to myself, "Oh, there's no way that Jimmy Garoppolo or 2017, sorry, there's no way that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to improve on that this offseason. Like he's going to work and improve." Well, little did I know Jimmy's work ethic wasn't necessarily the best, right? So Jimmy just never improved on it. Brock, I would expect if there is any improvements to make that he would. But you talk about clicky heels and lazy footwork. That's where my mind goes was 2017. Yeah, looks like a good drop to me. You remember that, Emiliano? You remember his footwork issues back then? I certainly do. It was just too magical, man. It was too magical of a 5 games stretch for sure. Yeah, it hasn't been great. It hasn't been great. That's for sure. Kyle just used all Madden plays. That's what I'm talking about though. This right here. I mean, this one wasn't as bad as some of the others where he just stands flat footed at his drop, but why is he still fading back? Like either drop, either step into your drop or fading back's just not fading back's not it. You can't just fade backwards when you don't have the arm to just make up for this because you're going to be throwing into a tight window. He just doinks it off his lineman's head. I'll say this: they were not playing around with Chris Jones, and they were double teaming the heck out of him, weren't they? I mean, Brock's just again early on. I'm sure the offensive line was dog water later. Trust me, I'm sure there's plenty of blame to go around. But early on in this game, the offensive line yet again has been pretty good in the past game. I know that there's some stuff later, at least that I remember from watching the game. It's like, dude, what is this? Oh my gosh, Ayuk. Like, was it just the sun? Yeah, this is the Chiefs sideline, right? So you got to imagine the sun's just directly in his eyes right here. But it's like, man, you got to catch that. That was this is the hard part, right? Because you have Brock, who is still relatively young and shouldn't be considered a superstar of this team, right? Like you shouldn't be relying on him by any means, right? So when he's struggling, you expect your superstars to pull him through. And then when he finally makes a play after struggling like crazy early on in this game, he finally does what you ask him to do or need him to do, and you let him down. It's like, man, what? How do you expect him to battle through when these things start to happen? I mean, he couldn't have. What do you want him to do? Again, remember the context of where we're at in this game here. You've thrown an interception. You've had another throw that was just awful. You dang near threw another interception. You've thrown the ball off of the helmet of your offensive lineman, and then finally he makes a play, and a superstar player on the team just lets him down, man. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And it's even more unfortunate that Ayuk ends up getting injured later in this game, because it's like, gosh, man, he never got out of this funk that he was in. It's too bad, man. It's too bad. It sucks. Absolutely sucks. Was this another hold? I feel like this was another hold. I feel like his first two big runs were just the holding calls. Yep. There it was. Gosh dang it, man. You just and now what are you in? 1st and 20? You're starting to drive 1st and 20? Is that not ideal? Not ideal. You're down 14-3 at this point. This was the other thing too, and I talked about it yesterday. The 49ers' first 4 drives, the average starting position was the 40-yard line. The first 4 drives for the Chiefs, their average starting position was the 21-yard line. Yet, after 4 drives each, the 49ers had 3 and the Chiefs had 7. I mean, that to me was, after that, it was an uphill climb. Now it's 14-3. And the first play of this drive, you get a holding call. And it's 1st and 20. Now you're in basically a must-throw situation, right? You do get a zone look here. Great throw from Purdy. Splits the difference. All right, like this is when Purdy's at his best. You get a zone coverage. You get the favorite route in the world, the deep dig. You get zone coverage. He gets to anticipate it, and boom, nails it. I gotta imagine as we go through this, it's probably top 2 throw of the game for him. I mean, we'll see what else comes our way, but it's a really good throw. Right? He's confident. He sees it right away, hits his back foot. Boom. Watch it one more time. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's the way it looks like when the 49ers offense is doing what they're supposed to be doing. I feel like they'd literally just tell Garrido, like, just use your speed, get to the outside, and hopefully something crazy happens. Brent says the 49ers need to rebuild next year. It's time. We aren't going to win a Super Bowl with our current roster. I if that's the route that they're going to take, And it's more of a retool. But if that's the route they're going to take, then they need to start it this season. Otherwise, you're just a year behind. Aaron becomes a new member. What's up, Aaron? Thank you so much. Jayanth says it's always in Press Man that his footwork sucks. Yeah. JR 100 with $2 donations. I gotta imagine you were trying to say something, JR. So let me scroll up here. I'm gonna rewind this a little bit so that I can see if there's something that you wanted to say. Jesse doesn't like George Michael, is that what he said? JR. If there's something that you wanted to say, there's something you wanted to say, JR. Go ahead and throw it in there and I'll just read it, brother. I'll just read it for you, brother. Okay. I completely missed this play. I'm sorry. Sorry. All right. So we got man coverage again. Okay. Let's watch the footwork, right? You got clear man. Got an RPO. And just nothing. Nothing open. Okay. What the heck is this on the right side of the O line? What? Hold on a second. Are you guys seeing this garbage? Look at this garbage over here on the right side. Watch George Karloftis. Hi, George. Watch this. What? Hold on a second. What is this? And how do neither of you? I mean, and fantastic job also by the Chiefs here of recognizing, hey, there could be something that opens up and Reed's just ready for it. But what is this nonsense? You see this nonsense over here? What is that, dude? See them looking at each other like, dude, you really screwed that one up. It's like, nah, you really screwed that one up. Look at this. Now, Banks, I understand. Like, you're just not going to be able to kick out over there. Okay, that's cool. But Sauber, dude, like, oh, Banks freaking trips him. I didn't even see that. He like trips over his feet. All right, Banks. That's on Banks. Dude, look at that. Banks literally just trips him. Oh, jeez, man. That was gnarly. Wow. That was so bad. That was so bad. All right. So let's see what we're looking at here. Looks like we're looking at man. Because you've got Ayuk down here. Oops. Ayuk down here at the bottom. You've got a a corner directly across from him, usually a man indicator, right? Now you've got a threat of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know how the Chiefs like to do, they love to send someone late. So really, you've got almost 7 you've got to account for here. And you've got 6 blockers, assuming that Kittle, who's not hooked to the line, is not going to stay in and block. Let's see how many they actually send. And sure enough, there you go. There you go. The corner blitz. Remember this? Remember this on the key third down? Very, very similar stuff. Yep. Yep. And then you got these two guys dropping out. So here you go. You've got 1, 1, 1, 2 on 1, and then one guy left blocking nobody. And it's not even, there's just nothing you can do about it. That's just such a good scheme. That's not on the O-line. That's honestly not even on the protection design. These guys are taught to look at the inside most threat, the guy that has the quickest path to the quarterback, which means these guys in the middle, and then you work your way out. Well, when they show blitz, they're saying, hey, these are the guys that we got to stop first. Unfortunately, the Chiefs are just way too smart. They drop out of coverage here, believe that's Chanel, and they send McDuffie off the edge. Again, I believe that's McDuffie, who's proven to be a hell of a blitzer, did it to us in the Super Bowl, and then you got a 2-on-1 and a free runner directly at your quarterback. Incredible play design, man. I mean, that's just Spagnuolo drawing one up, man. That is Spagnuolo drawing one up. And then what you've probably got here is you got Ayuk with an option route where he can stay on like a skinny seam here, or he can break it in, and it looks like he's seeing it and saying, okay, look at all this green grass right here. I can just run myself to the logo. Purdy has time. He's going to hit me over the middle. We're straight. Unfortunately, Purdy does not have time, and he just has to get rid of it. That is a hell of a play design. Wow. But again, this is why a lot of you probably have an issue with Kyle's play calling, right? This individual play, not really a lot you can do. However, if you're running screens, you're running shallow crossers, that type of stuff, maybe, just maybe you slow McDuffie down by a half a tick, and it's enough for you to complete this pass. Maybe not. Frank, you're wild, dog. You're wild. Wild. Man, that's just a hell of a play design. Just say it, you want Brock gone. No, I'm not there. Not there yet. I don't want to pay him. That's for sure. I don't want to pay him. I do want to see them make him play out his rookie contract. Unless he's just willing to take the most team-friendly deal because he's been so underpaid and he wants money. But no, I don't think the right move would just be to outright get rid of him. Unless they're going total rebuild and they say, hey, I think that's the other thing too. Like a lot of people want Shanahan gone. And it's like, yeah, deservedly so. I can understand why people are so frustrated. It's not like I'm not, right? It's not like I'm unwilling to hold Shanahan accountable. But if you get rid of Shanahan, you are potentially getting rid of Brock, because what head coach is for sure going to want to take Brock on? Maybe they want their own guy. You know what I mean? If they want their own guy, and you want the best candidate and they want their own guy, then tough luck. And if you want to keep Brock and get rid of Shanahan, then at the same time, you're also maybe not taking the best candidate. So that's why it's tough to just like move on with Kyle. The easy answer is like, oh, move on with Kyle, get somebody new go get Ben Johnson or whatever and see how it works with Purdy. Then make your decision after next year. And if that means you franchise tag him, then great. But who's to guarantee that Ben Johnson, A, would come here, and B, if he does, would want Brock to be his quarterback? There is no guarantee in that. And so if the best candidates aren't willing to have Brock be their future quarterback, then you're getting second tier candidates and forcing a quarterback on the next coach. That's why it's really, really tough to just get rid of Shanahan and then say, oh, well, we'll just, let's see how Brock does with the next guy. Well, maybe there is no Brock with the next guy. I mean, and this right here is just simply, you got a young receiver who hasn't played. Him and Brock have no chemistry whatsoever. I mean, he's not a one-hit wonder. That's for sure. He's definitely put together multiple really good seasons. He's got Jared Goff looking like the league MVP potentially right now. That's insane. But you know, there's no guarantee that just because you're a great play designer and play caller that you're a good head coach either. I think that is fair, Steve-O, but he's definitely not a one-hit wonder. I mean, as good as he was last year, he might even be better this year. I feel like we've said this a million times every single week, but when Brock's able to just pick out where he's going and hit his back foot and throw, that's when he's at his best. The moment that you start pushing him off of his spot and cover everything and whatever, that's when things start to get a little bit squirrely on him. But this is when he's at his best. And man, how cool is it to see Ricky Pearsall get a catch? That standing ovation was awesome. Awesome. It's what I was hoping he would get, and it's exactly what he did get. So happy for Ricky Pearsall that he's able to play football again, and excited to see how him and Cowing and some of these other guys develop. Man. You see like some of the best stuff from Brock here in manipulating this pocket, and he just underthrows it, man. He just underthrows it. Really, really good pocket manipulation, though. I love that. Look at this. Look at what he does. For his, I don't. The only word I could think of is jittery, which jittery G. But as kind of unsettled as he was throughout the course of this game at times, this is really, really, really good pocket awareness and manipulation to get his feet set and be able to put things into this throw. And it looks like, though, he has his base set, and I could be wrong, but it almost looks like he's like fading back as he throws. Yeah, see, that's what this is, and this is probably why he's short on this. Look at him. He almost does like the Jordan Love, like half little. and kind of bounces back, but he doesn't he doesn't fall forward and put enough into this throw. He needs to put more into this throw. He's got his feet set. He does a great job of setting his feet, but he just kind of falls away on it. And I mean, from this angle, Kittle has so much space. So much space. Ugh. You know what's interesting about this whole mechanics thing is I remember when Kyle Shanahan was asked about developing quarterbacks, and he said, "That's not what we do. We're not here to fix mechanics and do those types of things. That's for players to do on their own in the offseason." So really what quarterback coaches are designed to do, at least in a Shanahan offense, and I got to imagine it's probably pretty similar across the league, is prep them for the game, right? Watch film together, prep them for their calls, prep them for things they might see. But at least Greasy and Shanahan doesn't sound like they're interested in actually fixing mechanics or anything like that, unless something's changed. But that was direct from Shanahan. So Aaron says, so what do you want personally, Jay? Rebuild with a rookie, trade up for a top 7 veteran, or Brock, who got you there twice? I think they're in a tough spot, Aaron. I really do, because my proposal last night is simply this. You've got the trade deadline approaching. Now is the time that you shop the Debos, the Trents, the Kittles, the Charvarius Wards, the guys that aren't going to be here long term, maybe even CMC, what have you, and accumulate as many picks as you can, right? Knowing next year is going to be a down year, you're going to need a ton of cap space, but you've got a lot of picks that you just throw into the draft, a lot of chances at your lottery tickets, and then the following year, if you've done things right, you can be competitive again. Okay. But in this upcoming season, you've got Brock running out his rookie contract, and you're just evaluating. You're evaluating how he looks with these rookies. Well, next year they would be second-year players. You're evaluating how he looks with Jennings and some of these younger guys, the Masons, the Pearsalls, the Cowings, what have you. New left tackle, obviously. And you're also evaluating Kyle Shanahan at that point. And then at the end of that year, you're making a decision. Now, maybe you're just franchise tagging Brock and making him play another year, right? Not ideal, but maybe it's like, okay, well, Brock's not necessarily it as far as long term, but he's good enough right now where you're not going to find anything better. Let's franchise tag him for a year and then push this thing back one more year. Or, hey, you know what? He's everything that you hope for. The turnover stuff's gone away. He's improved. He's helping these guys develop. Okay, pay him. Maybe Brock says, hey, all right, I don't want to be franchise tagged. I will take way less than $60 million. Let's meet in the middle and do a 3-year, $120 million deal or something like that. Or maybe you just find out he's not the guy. Let's not waste our time anymore and let's move on. I'm simply proposing, just don't pay him at the end of this year. You don't have to pay him. You don't have to pay him. And this isn't just a Brock Purdy thing. You've got the Packers who maybe loves the guy, maybe he's not. I mean, listen, Love right now is a touchdown machine, but he's also an interception machine. Now the Packers look really good. Maybe he'll get better as the year goes on, but they paid him a lot of money. So he's got to be better with his turnovers. Then you've got Tua, injured again. Really should have never paid him. Tua's not special by any means. That was an overpay. You got Dak, who's borderline top 10 every year, but borderline top 10 doesn't deserve to get that kind of money, in my opinion. So he shouldn't have been paid. You got Trevor, who same situation as Purdy. Why couldn't you have waited one more year? Why couldn't you run out this year and see how it looked before you paid him? You didn't have to do that. So it's not just a Brock Purdy thing. This is an NFL quarterback thing. Teams are so eager to just throw money at guys that most likely don't deserve it. But at the very least, you should probably see one more year. And it's like, oh, no, we got to do it now. Let's pay him now. Why? Why are you so eager to pay these guys? It's not working. You think Dallas has any chance of winning with Dak Prescott as their quarterback? Does it look like the Jaguars have any chance with Trevor Lawrence or Miami with Tua? No, it doesn't. The answer is no. And is the gap between Brock Purdy and, say, a Dak Prescott so big that he's worth the $60 million? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. So what is the harm in waiting? I don't think there's any harm in that. The worst case scenario, literally, this is the worst case scenario, is that you end up costing yourself like $2 million a season because instead of $60 million, you got to pay him $62 million because you waited a year and the cap went up. But you know what? At the end of it, you realize that you've got your franchise quarterback and there's no question. So the $2 million is completely worth the price of admission. Completely worth it. Gen 3 Callie says, how about an audible to a bootleg away from pressure? There is plenty of opportunity to punish Kansas City, but seems like Kyle Shanahan wants Brock Purdy is to just be a robot. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that. Aaron says 10 to not get your opinion. Right now, what do you personally want on this day with Brock? What if Brock says $45 million, 4 years? What do you personally want? Exactly what I said. Wait. Make him play out next year and then make a decision. It's pretty simple. Don't pay him at the end of this year. That's what I want. Make him play one more year and figure it out after that. You didn't have to pay another 10 for that. I appreciate it. But that's what I want. I think that's the right move. Oh my God. Honestly, guys, I'm sorry. I can't. It's so hard to watch. And I want to be clear about this. I'm not putting the injury to Brandon Ayuk on Brock Purdy, but let's look at the two throws that he made where he had wide open guys down the sideline, one to Cowing, one to Kittle, that probably should have been touchdowns if he throws out in front of his wide receiver. One of them in Kittle ends up being a couple plays later a massive injury to your number one wide receiver, done for the year, and who knows where he goes from here. And ultimately, I think they take 3 here instead of 7. And then later on to Cowing, you've got that underthrow, and you've got an interception in the end zone. So that was potentially 14 points off the board and replaced with 3. I mean, there's always like a trickle effect. The whole world changes. The whole world changes if things move by 1 inch. If things are off by 1 second, everything becomes different. And unfortunately, both of those situations ended up being disastrous after the underthrows. I mean, he's not even taking his eyes off of these guys, man. You can't do that. You can't just stare down one guy in tight quarters and expect the result to end up solid here. You just can't do it. Hey, anybody in here get a bad fantasy beat from Najee Harris last night? Any fantasy football players in here get a bad beat from Najee Harris last night? Out of curiosity, that one sucked. That one sucked. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Stop it. Um, the young Montana. Is that a Patrick Mahomes picture? I can't stand you for that. Oh, I hate you. I hate you for that. Oh, White and Baker. Yeah. Pickens beat you. I will say this, my fantasy team's 7-0, so at least I got that going for me. You seem real quick to jump ship on coaching and Brock. Remember where we were before Shanahan. Is that like when you say you, do you mean me specifically, or do you mean like the chat? Because I just got done saying literally the opposite of whatever it is that you're saying here. So I'm assuming you mean the chat, but yeah, appreciate it though. I do appreciate the super chat and the support. But when you say you, what do you mean by you people? Man, the Chiefs are just that defense is nasty. I mean, all right, let's see where Brock's looking here. We're in zone coverage. You get zone. I mean, what is this route even from Juice? Is this how it's designed? Like, hey, how about you just go slow AF off the line for no reason before you like give a juke and then break in? Like, what is that route even? Come on, man. I mean, it's probably the way it's designed. But again, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The threat of 5. This one drops back, and then someone comes from this side. And great late blitz, good play design. You got one-on-one, 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 and a free runner. And then somebody out here blocking nobody because 56 faked a blitz. It's just out scheme. He's Spagnolo right now is just dancing circles around Kyle Shanahan with these blitzes, man. Absolutely just dancing circles around him. It's crazy. The play design on these is absolutely incredible. It's incredible. Look at it from this angle. And look at how, oh my gosh, man, look at this. 56, hand in the ground. He drops back. Look at Bolton over the middle. When can you tell he's blitzing? When does he show blitz? Still not showing blitz, by the way. They're about ready to hike the ball. He's just doing like the sidestep with the motion guy, right? You see the guy come in motion. You see linebackers sidestep all the time. They shift over. Dude, wow. Wow. I mean, even watching Minnesota was impressive to watch on defense. Spagnuolo is just a whole different beast, man. Look at this freaking play design. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. My goodness. Aaron, but what I mean, honestly, man, like what do you really think? What do you I'm gonna ask you a question. Pretend you're running the show and I just sent you a super chat. Ching, here's $10 to answer my question, okay? What do you think 49er fans should think right now? In a Super Bowl or bust year, they're 3-4. They have 0 quality wins. They just got the brakes beaten off of them by the team that beat you in the Super Bowl. They're 0-5 against the Chiefs. This is a long super chat. You see how unfair I am? Like with $10, I don't get this many characters, but let's just keep it going. All right. And you've got Ayuk who just went down for the year. What should fans honestly think? You think fans should just be like, oh, guys, dude, I mean, this is Brock. Woo! What a game, bro. I mean, just hang in there, pal. Things will be fine. Who cares that you have 9 turnovers in 7 games this year? You're just great football, man. Because Mahomes lost to the Raiders last year. So it's all good, brother. Kyle, I mean, great job not helping your young quarterback at all yesterday outside of a QB sneak call and 1 boot action. Like, ooh. I know Spagnolo just embarrassed you yet again schematically, but who cares? I mean, what are the chances of playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if you make it? Probably pretty slim to none. It's not like this team or Minnesota is a team you're going to face at any point in the playoffs if you're lucky enough to get there. Like, honestly, what should fans feel? What should fans feel? I mean, you got to understand. that people deserve to have frustration. They put hard earned money into this team, man, and time and energy. I mean, everybody in here is a diehard fan, yourself included, Aaron. You guys aren't watching me at 1:15 in the morning. Okay. If you're not a diehard fan, you can't police how everybody feels about things. You know what I mean? Okay, answer. To be fair, I know I way too many characters, way too many characters, and you don't have to super chat it. Just put it in the thing. Oh, okay, all right. Well, all right. Take it easy. All right. For me, it's 1:15. All right, chill out. Wait, whoa. Hold on. Where are you going with this? Hold on a sec. Whoa. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt here, flea market, and say that this is not where you're going, but this reads as if you're trying to act as if nobody here watched the game and we're not watching it right now again. And saying that Brock Purdy's garbage time touchdown accounts for anything that matters in that game. And that he was on Mahomes' level because the stats say so. Okay. I mean, you may not be trying to say that, but that's how it reads. That's how it reads. Uh, all of the times, 100 times if they can. Dallas cannot stop the run. That's how they're going to have to beat Dallas, man. They're especially if Dallas gets Parsons and Deron Bland back. The last thing you want is this game plan here, where you just let Purdy drop back a million times and let his young receivers just try to go to work and not create separation like that. You just can't. You can't. You got to run the heck out of the ball, man. You got to run the heck out of the ball. See how easy he can make it for his young quarterback? So nice when you see it. It's so nice when you see it. Oh, that is what you're saying? Okay. Oh, what I'm saying is that if you look at the box score for all the crap we're giving this kid, so-called GOAT looked very. But why would I look at a box score when we literally watched the game? You understand what I'm saying? Like you understand where I'm coming from, right? Why would I judge off the box score when we watched the game? Is there anybody that thinks the garbage time touchdown counts as anything that mattered in that game other than a stat at the end of the season that will go towards his total touchdowns and help prop up whatever season he's going to have, but it meant nothing in that game. And when the plays needed to be made, you got Mahomes throwing cross body, running to the right, doing underhand tosses, and breaking 50-yard runs. There's nothing to box score scout. We watched the game. All of us watched the game. It's what we've been talking about with Mahomes all year. In fact, I talk go back and watch the show with Grant and I, 49ers After Dark, where we talked about Mahomes and Purdy, and I said what people aren't accounting for with Mahomes is how great he's been when it's mattered most. You look at his fourth quarter stats through the whole year, he's elite. He's elite in the fourth quarter. So it's like all these games are tight and things are getting crazy. And then when he needs to buckle down to go get a damn win, he's done it in every single game, including this one. And also, you don't think like let's assume that they played even and we didn't watch the game and we just have the stats. You don't think Mahomes over the course of 7 seasons, multiple Super Bowl MVPs, league MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs and victories doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt over somebody who's been doing this for a year and a half? Like, of course, you're going to judge that guy differently than this one. Right. Right. Because that's exactly what it is. If you look at the stats, they'll lie to you. But watching the games, that's exactly what I'm saying. He is. There is no excuses. He won the game and he played great when he needed to. I don't need to make an excuse for the guy that won. Stats, no, they literally mean nothing when you watch the game and everything is in context. It's not that they're not everything. They literally mean nothing. And when you're trying to compare these two in yesterday's game, there we go. Look at Mason getting loose, loose. And also, if we're going to talk context, one of Mahomes' interception was when his receiver fell down. So there's one of his turnovers right there. Again, we know that because, say it with me, we watched the game. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying it with me. We watched the game. That's how we know that context. uh yeah, I was at the game. I did see it. It was a beautiful throw. Beautiful, beautiful throw. Um, but what's more to it? Like I know it's hard being on your end. Like I can talk forever. You have to like type things out. I get it. I get it. Okay, that's fair. But he was better enough to win the game in the crucial moments, right? Like this is what elite quarterbacks do when they don't have their some I mean, listen, elite players don't always play elite. Elite players don't always have their best stuff. But usually the elite players find a way to win when things aren't going their best. Ironically enough, though, you look at Kansas City and they're 6-0, basically playing the same brand all year long. Mahomes hasn't had his best stuff. But when you go look at his splits and you look at his fourth quarters, they've been incredible. He's done it when it mattered most. It's the same thing that happened in the Super Bowl last year. Same thing that happened in the Super Bowl last year. Things were pretty even. But when he needed to make a play, he made more than enough of them. And he did it in this game. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. It's just the reality of the situation. And the play, it's, as bad as the injuries were for the 49ers and as bad as things were going, they had their chances. They had their chances. They were there to be made. The plays were there to be made. They just weren't. And some was Brock not making those plays, and some was other players not making those plays. Was that? I don't feel like, oh gosh, dude. All right. Which throw? This throw? I don't think this was a bad throw. I felt like this was a good throw. I mean, he put it on his hands, right? McDuffie's just so good. It's all in slow motion for him. He's literally just like, okay, okay. Oh, it's in your hands. Not anymore. I thought that was a good ball. I thought that was a good ball. This one, not so much. And this one was so bad that we all were like, oh, that's on Ronnie Bell, right? Right? They weren't on the same page, right? Well, it turns out Shanahan and Brock both said, no, it was just a bad ball. I mean, and again, here we are taking points off the board. So let's add it up, right? Let's look at the mistakes that Brock made and how many points came off the board because of it. Right now, we know the two deep balls that were underthrown. They end up scoring 3 instead of 14. So that's 11 points off the board. Right there, that was an attempt at a field goal. So that's another 3. I mean, we're talking 14 points. 14 points. Yeah, again, this is what I thought when I saw it live. But Shanahan and Brock both said no, it wasn't. I mean, it's so bad that the only explanation is that, right? But it wasn't that, according to either one of them. And now you just got the offensive line getting blown up right here. Look at this. My gosh, dude. I mean, okay, hold on a second. Why? Why? But again, this is also very, very smart by Kansas City. They realize Chris Jones all game long, double team, double team, double team, double team. So what do? We'll just slide him over here where he's too far out of range for the center to help out. And we know we're going to get a one-on-one matchup because Trent certainly can't help. He's got his own guy to deal with. And we literally go mouse in the house, pick on Aaron Banks, and that's it. He messed up everything here. He messed up the timing of Garendo coming out of the backfield. He gets in Brock's face, forces him to move up in the pocket and escape for his life. I mean, he literally does everything on that play. All because of a schematic minor adjustment from Spagnuolo. I mean, it's super impressive to watch. It really is. Spagnuolo is just a whole different animal. Aaron says, Grant, Coach Ryan, Jesse, you just hate on him, yet traded no wrong and all your eyes. Last pick overcoming all odds. Gets est on by all the big content creators. I don't know. Again, I think you and I, in fact, I think I remember you, Aaron. I think you and I had a good back and forth one night, if I'm not mistaken. In like a comment section of one of the shows. That's just simply not true. It's just not. I mean, it's just not true. So I don't know what you want me to say to that, other than to say it's just not true. And it's actually disingenuous from you because you and I had a really long back and forth through that comment section where it says that that's not true. So I don't know. It's really weird, but sure, man. I can't change your opinion. So there's really not anything I can do about that. But again, to me, it always comes down to the conversation that you're having. Is the conversation that Brock Purdy's a good quarterback and we want to wait to pay him, you know? He's top 10-ish. That's the conversation. I'm all for it. Like I said, he was the 10th best quarterback coming into the season. I don't understand how that's hate. But once the conversation goes to he's elite, and that's the eyes we're judging him on, then you can't. This is where I have the issue, right? People, and maybe this isn't you, Aaron, but most people that say what you said, oh, Brock Purdy's hated on, whatever. Most those people want to have it both ways. They want to say that Brock Purdy's elite. But then the moment that you question it or don't agree with that, you're a hater because you're not meeting people on the terms that they want, right? So if Brock Purdy, if you're going to say a player's elite, then expect them to be judged like they're elite. Like that's the lens I'm looking through. I didn't create the lens. I didn't say he was elite, right? You told me he's elite. And when I say you, I mean just a big chunk of this fan base. So when you tell me he's elite, what lens should I be watching him through? Should I be watching him through my lens, which is, I think, the most reasonable lens, which is he's a good player. He's still growing, but he's not elite at all. Or should I watch him through your lens, which is the elite lens, where I'm going to be hypercritical because you're telling me he's elite? You understand like how you are not doing him any favors when you you're amping the pressure up on him. When you shout from the rooftops, "Oh, Jesse, Josh Allen sucked again today. Josh Allen sucked. Brock Purdy's better than this guy. He's better than this elite player. He's better than that elite player. Look at the numbers. He's better than Mahomes." What do you think's going to happen? Like, you're not doing him any favors. But then you want to get upset at other people for holding him to the standard that you created. Not me. I didn't create that standard. You created that standard. And so I'm holding him to that standard. And that's the lens that I'm talking about him through, is the lens you created. But you want to take no accountability for it. You just want to say he's elite and you should see it through my lens. And if you don't, you're a hater. There's no winning for people like me. There's no winning. Because if I say he's a top 10 quarterback, that's not good enough. Right? I said it all this offseason. I had him at number 10. That wasn't good enough. You're a hater. He's elite. He's better than Herbert and Stafford and CJ and Rodgers and Kirk Cousins and these other guys. Okay. So he's better than those guys. So now I'm judging him as if he's in the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow range. So then when I hold him to that standard and he doesn't live up to that excellence, now I'm a hater for doing that. So what is the right answer? What should I say? Just the only answer, the only option I have is, guys, Brock Purdy's elite. Who cares about what we're actually watching? It's just blind fandom. You got to be a blind fan and you got to agree with it. Otherwise, you're a hater. We're pulling your fan card. Like, that's the option that you give. You understand like how asinine that sounds? Right? Meanwhile, we've just missed another underthrow, and we're about to watch an awful interception. You're right. I apologize. I root for Brock so hard, man. Enjoy the super chats. I like validation. That's why I watch. Listen, and that's totally fair. I also, that is totally fair, Aaron. It's totally fair, bro. I also get that, like, I understand why a lot of people don't like my content. I really genuinely do. From the standpoint that I am going to be very critical. Okay? Very, very critical. You on the other end, a majority of you on the other end of this screen are looking at sports as a getaway. You have stressful lives. You got bills to pay. You got jobs to maintain. You got kids to raise. You got food to put on the table. Like, don't think that's not lost on me, because I know that all that is true. And I don't take for granted at all any of you that support me, even those that support kind of in haste, right? Because at the end of the day, I also know that, like, football opinions are football opinions, but I would bet dollars to donuts that most people that I disagree with, if they saw me in a bad situation, would do anything they could to help me, right? So we're not talking about bad people here. I'm not a bad person. You guys on the other end aren't bad people. But I also know that you're looking at this is to get away from all the real stuff that's happening in the world, all the craziness, right? It's also election time and people are losing their marbles over all this stuff. So when you come to a channel like mine, you're hoping to just let's just enjoy the 49ers together and let's have fun together and root for this team. I get that. So when you show up here and I'm super critical of a guy who you just want to support because he's wearing red and gold, I get that can be a tough pill to swallow, which is fine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that. I respect that. And I'm good there. I just want to make sure that we're playing on even ground. And so when we have these conversations, you know where I'm coming from with the conversations. And that's why I do it the way that I do it. MS says, let's be real here. Do you even know what a 4-3 defense is? Do I know what a 4-3 defense is? Really? Like the most basic thing in the world, a 3-4 and a 4-3? Come on, man. Aaron says, I don't do any of that. I do feel there is an unfair standard for Brock, who will have bad games. Yeah, I think it goes both ways. Again, I think it's what is the starting point of the conversation? Is it because I think we agree more than you realize. Like Mr. Irrelevant, he's way outlived the Mr. Irrelevant term. He's already won by doing what he's done. Fact. I had him as a 3rd-round prospect, which is higher than most, and I was still probably wrong, right? Like he's proven everybody wrong. But now the conversation is shifting and we're trying to figure out, does he deserve a massive contract? And so we've got to judge him harshly, unfortunately. Like we've gone from, oh shucks, what a great story, to, oh my gosh, this guy's a really good football player, to, okay, but is he elite? Because if he's not, you can't pay that guy. Like that's just where we're at. I mean, time keeps passing, and with every passing moment, the bar is getting raised because of it. You know what I mean? High school, middle school, but not like college ball or nothing. Played a hell of a lot of Madden though. But no, my sport growing up mainly was baseball. I played like pickup basketball, played a little bit of football organized, and then MMA. I fell in love with MMA when I was like 16, 17. So, appreciate the supers. Raphael says Ricky got open a lot, man. Yeah, again, though, a lot of this is tough because Ricky may get open, but a lot of times it's happening on the backside of a play, right? So what I mean by that is Brock's got to make a decision pre-snap. He's got to decide, am I going left or am I going right? Like what side looks better to me? Based off the alignment I'm seeing from the offense, based off the alignment I'm seeing from the defense, is it the wide side of the field or the short side of the field? Like there's so many factors that go into this. He's going to run motion. You're going to see what defense you think they're in. Are they running man? Are they running zone? All of that's going to factor in. Then he's going to choose a side post snap. And once he chooses that side, he's working through his progressions. Okay. And when he's working through those progressions, if a wide receiver breaks free on the backside when he's looking right, but on the left side behind him, Pearsall breaks free wide open, he's not going to see that. Like you just can't see everything on the field. So I don't doubt that Pearsall may have been getting open, but how many of those are backside of the play where Brock can't possibly see it? This is the second time we've seen him here around the 5-yard line or just inside it. Just stare down a receiver, man. And yes, McKivitz gets beat and holds, and somehow they don't call it. But Also, this play never had a chance from the beginning. It just never had a chance. I mean, let's see it from this angle. We've seen this all season long in the red zone. You've either got no separation, you've got bad play design, you've got Brock not making a quick decision, or all of the above. Not open, not open, not open, not open. Possibly open, probably open, but that's, I mean, still a tough throw. But dude, I mean, this just never had a chance. It never had a chance. Now, you can't just turn the ball over in that situation. I mean, what's the score here? What was the score here? Okay, so 21-12, right? Even if you take 3 here, you're only down 6 in a game that's, you would love nothing more than to force the Kansas City Chiefs to drive the full length of the field one more time and prove it. So you can't not take points here. It's 3rd and 5. If you dirt ball it, you just throw it at your receiver's feet there. You take your 3, and then you hope you can get a stop. But what you can't do is turn the ball over. You just can't do it. It's not like if this was the final play of the game and you're trying to win, then of course you've got to throw the ball. You don't have a choice. You just got to throw it up and hope something good happens. But in this situation, you cannot do that. You can't throw that football. You just can't do it. You just can't. Man, that's rough. That's rough. Um, I think it's harder for guys like Brock to become elite. I mean, they do have to be damn near perfect and everything else. I think, it's interesting because a lot of people talked about Brock and made the Drew Brees comparisons naturally because of stature. And Drew Brees was actually a very good athlete himself. He could dunk a basketball. Brock Purdy's certainly more quick footed, that's for sure. But a lot of people made those comparisons, and when they did, I pushed back a ton because to me, Brock Purdy's ball placement has always been a little iffy. I think he's probably like middle of the league as far as ball placement goes. Maybe like lower middle of the league. And I've always thought that. Um, and Drew Brees was just so elite with his ball placement. It's not about completion percentage, right? There's so many factors that go into completion percentage. Guys can drop footballs, what have you. But it's not just completing the pass when you complete it, it's where is the ball placed. Like right there. Beautiful, right? But Drew Brees was the best in the world with his ball placement, and that's what made him special. And even him with that being maybe the best ever at that, he still couldn't be better than guys that had just more physical tools than him. Like I would take Ben Roethlisberger over Drew Brees any day of the week. Period. And Ben Roethlisberger is not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning. Right? He's not on that level. But physically, he was so gifted Give me Ben Roethlisberger over Drew Brees, and Drew Brees had to be perfect to get to where he was as a passer when it came to his ball placement. So yeah, I agree. I mean, when you don't have some of those physical tools, you have to be so special, so special in other areas to make up for it. It's hard. So I'm not saying he can't reach it, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. 808 Niner says when fans get angry. That was a funny play. Hold on, I'll read it in a second. 808. Wee. When fans get angry and get on them, it's because they don't perform up to the standard the players talk about. This team does more talking than winning. Yeah, I think that's the other thing though too, 808 Niner, and that's what I don't think most fans realize. It's crazy. As critical as you think I am, Kyle Shanahan said way worse in this film session than I've said about him. Way worse. To his face. Shay says Brock is still technically in his second full season. He is a damn good quarterback. Agree. Except for when he faces better teams with elite defenses and defensive players. Okay. You see, like, the paradox that we run into here with this comment, right? Agree. He's a damn good player. But winning Super Bowls usually means you're going to have to go through elite defenses and defensive players. So GTC Real says, what bothers me about these guys is they go on pods stating they've been the best team and other teams get lucky just to play and prove it. Just play and prove it is all I ask. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. It's frustrating. I mean, at this point, the game's over. I don't. This is actually pretty pointless to watch. Pretty pointless to watch that last part because it's over. Yeah, Jeff Garcia wasn't the biggest guy either, and that's why he flushed out of the league pretty quick. Even Russell Wilson, for as great as he was, I mean, look at how the tail end of his career. At like 32, he was washed, and then it's kind of been good at times. He's okay now. He was okay in Denver, but as great as Russell Wilson was at his stature, and he had more physical tools than Brock. He's a bigger player physically. I mean, he's thicker. Both of them had elite short area quickness. Like, they definitely have that in common. But as far as like arm goes, Russell Wilson had an arm on him. But even for him, the wheels fell off pretty quick. You know what I mean? So they can't lose to Dallas, man. They can't lose to Dallas. Matthew says, Jesse, I like your content, but the 49ers went 3-6 in 1982 after winning the Super Bowl in 1981. If you were here back then you would have said Montana was overrated like you are with Brock. Again, it all depends on here. I don't need all that. It all depends on where the conversation is. First of all, hold on. First of all, you said after winning a Super Bowl. Like, they've won a Super Bowl, right? Like, they've already won a Super Bowl. I mean, what is there to talk about? The comparison can't be the same. The comparison can't be the same. You already won the Super Bowl. So yeah, I don't know. I think, you know what I honestly think? I think the conversation probably would have been more similar to Tom Brady, which was, okay, great, you won a Super Bowl. how many? I mean, Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls before people were finally like, okay, he's as good or better than Manning. Like it took multiple Super Bowl victories before he was even like a part of that conversation with Manning. Manning was the guy. Manning was like the elite player. Had all the physical gifts as far as, how big he was. His arm obviously fell off big time after his shoulder surgery, but I mean, he was so smart. He called his own plays, he called his own audibles. Like he was the prototypical quarterback. The number 1 draft pick, elite all the way through college. Like he was the guy. You know how long it took for Brady to overcome the late round pick stuff? Multiple Super Bowl victories. And that's the greatest quarterback of all time. So I don't think that it's unfair that we judge Brock Purdy accordingly. Like Tom Brady got hate for years after winning Super Bowls. Half my chat craps on Lamar Jackson, who's a multiple time MVP winner, and Josh Allen, who's clearly the second best quarterback in the world and has been for probably 3 years. But we should pull punches when it comes to Brock? I guess. Hell no. Hell no. All right, y'all, listen. It's 2 a.m. I really appreciate you guys supporting. I know that we disagree a lot, and that's okay. You guys still support, and that means the world to me. It really, truly does. Thank you so much for showing up. Aaron, thank you so much for showing up, showing love tonight. Really appreciate you, whether we disagree or not. You guys are all awesome. Really, really, really appreciate all of you. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow at some point. Much love. We'll talk soon. Peace.